That's when I went to the enforcement level of narcotics. So the enforcement level goes out and does street rips, kind of does whatever people want you to do to get people off the streets. So I guess the emotional and moral change happened when I would watch the drug dealers. So I would watch them, I would sit in covert, and I would hide in vans or in buildings. I would sit there for like 13, 14 hours a day because I had to get up before they opened and I couldn't leave until they left. But when you're sitting there, you're watching everything he does, not just seeing him at his worst. So your whole time that you're a cop, you see everybody at their worst. I think a significant portion that grow up in the environment understand it, but they seem to still hold that I think it comes from the institution, that whole pick you up by yourself by the bootstraps thing. And they're not seeing that these kids don't have bootstraps. So especially in like where the jail is in East Baltimore, you have Perkins homes next to it, and look it up. And it's the wall of the jail is a block away from that neighborhood. And the only person they see that has any success is the dealer. He has a car.
As it relates to this, how much do the cops see not just the drug dealers, but the entire community as the enemy? Always.
So you are separated. So one of the realizations I came to think of is we even have this like ingrained in our symbolatry. So you think of the blue line, thin blue line thing. So you have the thin blue line, the black above and the black below. The black above or below, whatever, one of those blacks stands for the bad guys. One of those stands for the good guys. When you're blue, you're neither. You're not a part of either one of those communities. You're something entirely different. And everybody is a them. That's why when they do something hideous, like when they did it to your right, for a while when you're in field training, you're still technically a trainee. You could have been fired at any moment for the first year. You can get fired for anything. You're just in pencil. It was during that time period where, like, even if I would have spoken out, somebody could have just been like, well, you're fired, see you later. You can't, like, when you're in that probationary stage, you can't upset the apple cart at all. You're going to be gone if you do.
Can you just describe sort of what you learned about police culture during those early days?
Yeah, you don't learn about it. You hear the past stories and you see when a cop does something wrong, you see the unions and you see the politicians stand up for the officer. You don't see anyone stand up for the citizen. Baltimore, I'm driving down Cross Country Boulevard and there's a stream next to me. I'm like, wow, there's like citizens out mowing the lawn and so I'm like, well, these are the same people as me. I'm not gonna mess with these people. So I had to get stats. You have to get your arrest. You have to get everything that you're going to bring back to show you did something. So I can't arrest the judge's son that's walking around there. I'm not going to jack him up and search him, right? So I would go to the Park Heights, into the black neighborhood, and I would get my arrest there so that I can make my supervisors happy, because we all knew I wasn't going to arrest anybody in Mount Washington. You may have even heard it's better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Common saying.
Yep.
So shoot first. Take no risk. Because you can just, at least if you shoot somebody wrong, at least you're just go and be tried instead of having something happen to you. So you're immediately on the offensive. Everything is about not getting hurt. So like an officer has no responsibility. Everything is about not getting hurt. So like an officer has no responsibility to fight. You have no responsibility to take a moment risk, to hesitate. It's just as soon as you're in fear, that's actually the legal standard, is that you're in fear of your in defense of somebody else's life that you're in fear of. So all you have to do is be afraid. So if you're a weak person that can't do anything, obviously very easy to be afraid. I mean, there's people who walk around just being afraid of things walking in the street. They're afraid. And so that's if all you need is fear, then you're just going to pull that trigger as fast as you can.
And so, it's really interesting to like to what degree the cops view themselves an occupying force. I knew that they thought, hey, it's us versus them, but like I thought that they would think that, well, the other guy, I mean, obviously he's got kids, he's got a wife, he lives as a human being, like I live as a human being, that there would be some degree of empathy. You're saying that is just very few and far between?
Sure, in an aspect, I could be projecting. I could be just talking about myself. Maybe I lack complete empathy. I didn't see anybody acting any different than I did. And so you're not seeing them that way. You're not having the empathy. They're not somebody that's just doing that. And the rules do say that you're supposed to have a continuum of force. You're supposed to escalate from pepper spray and baton and all that stuff. But that's not, nobody even knows how to use those things effectively. So when you're afraid, you go to the one you know will stop it. So you have the policy there, but it doesn't mean anything. But
Right.
Combat arms.
And so you think the guys that served in combat arms had a little bit more restraint than the average cop?
Yeah, because they're not afraid. So that's the thing, is you have fear. So if you have the fear, then you'll do what you'll jump to that level. But if there's no fear, you hesitate.
Right.
And that's what you need to do. You need to hesitate. That's our job.
One of the things that I say on the show is the biggest crime in America is disrespecting a cop. Like, it's not actually on the books, right? There's no law that says you're not allowed to disrespect police officers. But you could, run someone over, you could rape someone, you could shoot 9 people in a black church, and you'll get they'll pick up Burger King for you, and everything will be fine as long as you're respectful when the cops show up, right? But if you're in any way don't follow a command, a world of hurt's coming your way. Am I overstating that, or is that roughly right?
No, I mean, there's a thing where people say you get locked up on a humble. So if you ask
I don't know that. What is
if you ask a dealer, or you ask somebody, a 16 to 24-year-old black male in the ghetto, they've been locked up on a humble once before, and that means that they're being humbled. So they ran their mouth a little bit, so they got a disorderly, or they did something, so you're writing them a full parking ticket or moving violation or something like that. So it's
There's even a term for it. I didn't know that. Huge deal.
I imagine that citation would be revoked before you handed it in.
Right? Whereas if you do it in the community, what power does that kid have to fight back against?
None. That's why you do it.
It's so frustrating. To the whole country, did you think the black community all across the country was lying all this time? No, this is what they experienced. They know it. You don't know it because you didn't live that. Because when the cops show up in the nice white neighborhoods with the streams, they don't go and do the same things. Yeah.
Going to. I think all the urban cities are the same. So I think if you're talking about Philly, you're talking about Cleveland, you're talking about Atlanta, Oakland, all these places are the same. I can't imagine anything different. We've actually had officers from New Orleans that came after Katrina, and they fit in just fine. If somebody from Philly and Boston, they can all come in, everything will be fine. So it's endemic. It's the entire system. And I think it's actually reflective of the entire nation. I think it's just a microcosm of the police department where, because you have that power, you can live out that racism that's in our society, and you don't even have repercussions for it or worry about it whatsoever, because that's what everyone else is doing. So when I first thought about it, was first talking to people, I think the first thing we need to lead with is empathy. We just have to try to see things from the other people's side, which is going to be hard to teach people, but we really need to focus on that. That's just another human, and tear down these walls. We have flags, and we have, I'm Republican or I'm Democrat, or I have this and I have that, and nations, Confederate flags, American flags, and we take all these things and we build them up, and we let walls divide all of our society. We're all the same. We have to tear down these walls. In Colorado and in Portugal, they lowered their juvenile usage of marijuana. How did they lower their juvenile usage of marijuana?
They decriminalized.
So if you want to lower, then you legalize and you control. So you're not actually trying to legalize. You're continuing right now to feed the prison industrial complex. You're not worried about whether you're actually lowering the rates or not, because we know how to lower the rates. You're just afraid to do it because you have something else going on. And as I thought about it more, how can we do this? I'm never going to be in charge. Somebody that speaks like me is never going to be in charge. So the first thing we have to do is, I'm going to sound like a shill, we have to get money out of politics. Because if we don't do that, if Wolfpack doesn't win, we don't have the politicians that we need to take the risk on somebody that talks like I do.
God bless. I think, what could be wrong with the rec center? People are going to do good things. They're they're getting together to socialize. That's a positive thing. Why did the other cops not want to go to the rec center?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, it's just like you don't think about integrating into the society. You just want to get your job over with, go home, and not worry about it.
Maybe it makes the job easier if you don't empathize. Like,
that was my original thing. So my original thing was actually, I tried to be like a RoboCop. So I tried to think, I won't react, I won't see race. So that's how I will not have bad practices. I will totally ignore race, and I would just focus on what we do, what police do. And eventually I realized, well, when I'm doing that, I'm not seeing the racist institution that I'm participating in because I'm blinding myself. It kind of had a backwards effect that being blind to racism doesn't let you see when there's racism. It's weird.
It's fast to show from a guy who's on the inside. So one more thing about the corruption. How often do cops lie for one another, including on the stand? All the time?
Yeah, sure. I mean, somewhere in the city that size, daily.
Daily, right. Was it a big deal to lie on the stand or not that big a deal?
I wouldn't do it. That was kind of my line. Like, I would cover for you until I was in that situation. You're like, I'm not going to jail for you. I don't care who you are. If I'm sitting on that stand, sorry, you're getting the truth.
Right.
You're going down. I'm going to have to say it at this point in time. But they'll lie against suspects all the time. So they'll say they saw things. So like a CI, if you have a confidential informant, the way our rules are done and the law is written, you have to make sure that CI has nothing on him. Then you give him the money. Then he goes and does the buy. You watch the whole thing. Right? That's the rule. And then you come back, you get the drugs from him, you make sure he has nothing else on him, you submit the thing, the narcotics. Possible. How are you going to watch the guy go and make a deal and come back? You can't do it. You're going to give it away.
Right.
So everybody writes it like it happened, like they watched the whole thing. And how do you watch the whole thing? You can't.
Almost none of them do actually watch the whole
Or
thing.
when they run, a dealer runs and he'll throw the bag, the stash, whatever. If I don't see him do it, whatever, you win. You got it. All right, we're going to try again tomorrow. But plenty of people would say they saw him drop it. And
right.
You didn't. He hit the corner. Well, no, you didn't see him do it.
Right. Yeah. So, yep. Again, unfortunately, not surprised by that. How about the black cops? Were they part of this system? Did they get discriminated against? How is that dynamic?
I think they have it extra hard. I'm putting conjecture in how they treat the citizens, but I do think, just like NWA said, they're worse as a general rule. But I've always thought that was the impression I got was because they were in this policing and they felt the same way, that this is what the good guys do. It was the systematic racism that they're not recognizing either, and they would be extra harder on the black citizens because they felt like it was embarrassing their race. So it was like
that's
an insult.
interesting. Okay, I would have thought that it was to impress the other cops, like, hey, I'm with you guys. I'm not with the enemy. I'm with you guys. I'm with the good guys. But you're saying no, that it's actually more predominantly they're pissed at the other black.
Yeah, that's what it all felt like to me. So
Yeah,
when I talk to
yes.
people, granted, I'm still talking to a limited subset, but that's the impression I always got.
That's interesting. And was there much racism against the other black cops, or did you guys think, no, we're all blue?
That's the other problem. They'll say they're all blue. It's just not true. Black cops are punished more harshly. We actually had a lawsuit where they had to change the promotional system for them. The reason why I wrote some promotional guides trying to help people was because you could see that the Good Old Boy Network up top would like handpick who they wanted to be the next group of supervisors and kind of like pass the information down to them. But they weren't generally picking any black guys. They were picking the same. Well, that's why when you see command staff, it tends to also be, it starts to turn white. The higher rank you go, you start dwindling in your minorities. And then they would...
A new focus.
This is no longer an investigation for me. It is a cause. Because I want to make sure that I never, ever see another officer walk in my shoes. I want to make sure that departments, not only in Chicago, but across the nation, in Canada, that they honor whistleblowers, that they uphold them as heroes.
All right, I'm putting cases on all you bitches. Huh? You think you can do this shit? I'm the police. I run shit here. You just live here.